All right. After 48, 49, I think 52 hours, we are back. It's been a while. This
Missed you,
is,
Brian.
I missed you, Meg. This is the Helping Friendly Podcast, live coming at you Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, all the way down to, 12:30 p.m. in Alaska? It's like midday, 2 weeks out from solstice. Man, it just doesn't get dark up there right now. It's just wild. We are here, myself, Brian, Megan. RJ will be with us here soon. He's somewhere off, still on tour. This is the live version. This is not the on tour version. But we are here to talk through, for the last time ever, at least until 2027, about spring 2022. We're going to do a big recap, everything that we heard over this last week-long, whatever you want to call it, little road trip through the South, weekend in the cornfields.
I think spring
A
tour
lot
is what they
happened.
called it. Spring
I
tour.
think they called it spring tour. That's probably the official name. We're going to go through this. We are not going to go through this show by show, set by set, song by song, jam by jam, blah, 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 blah. You all heard that. You can go back and listen to our recaps that we did of every single show, plus our pre-show and our set break. I mean, we did a lot. We have categories here. We have questions that we're going to go through. We have no idea the other person's answer, although I have some assumptions of what your answers are. Whenever RJ joins, we're going to be able to do like a speed round with him of like answer, give us your thoughts, give us your insights. But I've thought a lot about this tour in the last 2 weeks, and we've got some ideas about kind of our favorite aspects of this, challenging aspects of this, what really jumped out at us. And we're going to approach the recap that way. But before we get to all of that, before we even get to the ad reads, it's really important that I show some courtesy to my co-host here. Megan, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Brian. This is a busy time of year. Anyone else just like maxed out? Like you got the events, the school things, the graduations, the birthday parties. I've got 1.5 more days of teaching kids. There's like artwork going home. There's like kids walking in the door with like heavy backpacks, arms full of shit you have to find places for. Like it's just that time of year, But then it's also like gorgeous out and beautiful, and I just want to be outside all the time. And so it's like that promise of spring and summer, but then also like reality of life. So I'm in the grind, but it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see it now.
You see it. It's weird. So when I went to school, our school started the last week of August and ended right around this time, like June 9th always felt like the last day of the year, sometime in that range. And it was always timed right around the time that the Chicago Bulls really got deep into the NBA finals. So that's what I always think about. It was perfect. I get out of school and they'd win the title. It was the greatest thing in the world. My son starts school like the second week of August and then finishes the week before Memorial Day. And I don't really get it. Like, I think about last year, he went back to school the day after the Atlantic City run. And so,
crazy.
like, it's crazy because, like, 2 weeks later, Fish was back on the road and it was like summer tour. And my son was like going to school. It was very strange for me. And then he finished school. You talk about like the nice weather. That's the one thing that like May is cold and kind of rainy here in Denver. It's great. It's amazing. But like that last 2 week stretch in school, when you like wrote 6-2 in your notebook and it was like 85 degrees outside and it was perfect. You're like, what the fuck am I doing in school? He doesn't have to deal with that. He gets out of school and then it gets nice. So I don't really know what I prefer. I think I prefer the way that I went to school because, you get that like taste of summer and then you're like, get me the hell out of this school and you're done. But I don't know. It also creates a lot of stress.
But then you have that whole August off. And August is like not a month that people should be doing anything. Like when I lived in Europe, no one works in August.
I was going to say Europe shuts down. It's the greatest.
They're so smart. They're like, August, we don't do it here. We just chill.
not even a billable hour. Just don't.
No,
Just done.
it's so smart.
Do you have any like last day of school traditions, like for you or for you and your kids? Because your kids are now at an age where like they know the last day of school is coming. Like Wallace wasn't really excited about it because it was kindergarten. Like kindergarten's awesome.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. My kids don't want school to end. Like, they love school. They really don't want it to end. It's bizarre, but they do this super fun thing at their school that now they've aged out at, which is kind of sad, but all my third graders do it. There's this park near the school where everybody goes and has like a giant water fight. And it's like water balloons and water guns, and these schools like team up against each other and like, well, not, yeah, like fight each other in these water battles. And it's like epic. And so I used to spend every year with my kids at these water fights. And it was so cute and just magical, right in the middle of Brooklyn, like right by the Brooklyn Bridge in Cabin Plaza with these giant buildings all around and this big like monument. And the kids are just, screaming at each other and throwing water balloons. And it was an awesome tradition.
I love that. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have field day that was like the whole,
Mm-hmm.
like everyone was let out of the school and everyone just went crazy and there were like organized games and whatnot. And then the next day you had to come back for like 2.5 hours.
Oh, teacher's nightmare.
And you like would come back and you're like, I'm going to sit here and then be done by 12. And my
Yeah.
mom would take us to get pizza. It was the greatest thing in the world. And then the Bulls would win the title. I don't know if I mentioned that part of it, but
You might
it was the
have.
greatest.
You might have.
Now that we're repeating ourselves on the intro, we should probably get to the ad reads, shouldn't we?
Yeah, probably. Let's do it.
Welcome everyone though to the show. We are going to be talking the spring 2022 recap, which this last tour had to be kind of torturous for you, man. Just like with the amount of work you still have left to do and the fact that you're going to see Fish shows in the summer, but that's not for another month and a half at that point. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but you did a really good job covering this tour. It was a ton of fun.
Thanks, Brian. It was so much fun.
So today's episode, like all of our episodes, is brought to you by Sunset Lake Cbd. They have a line of smokable hemp products that are for the old deadhead, the young fish fan, or reverse that is searching for the mellow body highs. Smoking CBD has all the benefits of high THC cannabis without the paranoia or the anxious side effects. With 9 different strains from this year's harvest, there is something for everyone, even you. Hawaiian Haze is awesome for an outdoor show. Cherry Abacus is best for the end of the night. All the flowers grown, cured, and trimmed by Sunset Lake CBD farmers. Even better, Sunset Lake CBD's farm-to-table approach gets you great pricing on premium CBD flower by shipping them directly from their farm to your door. I enjoyed a lot of Sunset Lake CBD throughout the spring tour, sitting on my back patio, having a little bit of Hawaiian Haze during the show, Cherry Abacus to calm me down at night. Just the best stuff in the world. Everybody who's tried it loves it. They write into us all the time. Sunset Lake crew just took in their first goose show at Essex. They got a really cool tumble in the second set. That's a different podcast, though. We also have The Great Beyond, which is a goose-related podcast. But my point being, they're great people. They make great products. Check them out. SunsetLakeCBD.com and use coupon code HFPod for 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer-owned, Vermont-grown. And Megan, with it being touring season, tickets are being traded or bought at this point in time. Can you tell us about our second sponsor here?
Yeah, this is a sponsor I also use all the time. It's Cash or Trade. It's the only secondary ticketing marketplace where fans buy, sell, and trade tickets at face value. So if you are not a fan of the larger ticketing marketplaces where all the prices are jacked up, this is where you need to go. Fans can DM each other before, during, and after a transaction and rate and review each other when a transaction is complete. And they're amazing. Cash or Trade has been involved. They will answer any questions you have about any trade that's going on instantly. I've just found their customer service to be awesome. There's no added fees when you sell tickets, and all sales are fully protected by Cash or Trade's Traders Protection Policy, and that guarantees your money back. So users can avoid purchase fees with a gold membership subscription. And so visit cashortrade.org to check it out. It's an amazing company, and they've been incredible in changing the game.
Been incredible. We love working with them. We encourage you to use them. I'm using them right now. I have some tickets I have to offload that I'm not going to be able to use, unfortunately, this summer because I'm going to a couple of different shows than I originally thought I was going to. So I'm using Cash or Trade, and it's just so easy. You just upload your information. Someone checks it out. Someone buys it. They get your tickets. It's incredible stuff.
It's so great.
So great. We will be talking about them throughout the entire summer. But it is time for us to move into our spring tour 2022 recap. As I said at the top, RJ will be joining us. RJ is a busy man and he's got things to do, but he's going to be joining us because he's got thoughts, insights, potentially good and probably bad opinions to share about this tour. But you and I are going to kick this off here. Listeners out there who are hanging with us, thank you. And thank you for everyone who hung with us in our recaps of each show, joined us for our pre-show and our set break hangs. Those are so much fun. It was great having you all here.
It was
one
so
thing I
fun.
would say,
People were so engaged too, which was
they're so
awesome. We
engaged.
love when people are commenting and talking to us and letting us know what they're thinking about. And it was super fun. I want to do more of those pre-shows hangs. Those were awesome.
We talked about those, that those are like you're waiting in line to get into the venue and you're just having a conversation with someone. It can kind of go anywhere. And our listeners made it go anywhere in the best way possible. For anyone out there who's hanging with us, please share your answers. We appreciate you too, Les.
Yeah, thanks,
really
Les.
do. Please share your answers to these questions. I'm going to post the question on the screen here. We're going to go back and forth, give a reason for why we chose what we chose here for this, and really cover the spring tour in the best way that we see fit. So we're starting with the opener here, okay?
Okay.
Openers were a big issue, big topic of conversation throughout the spring tour. So Megan, which show opening jam hit you hardest throughout this tour?
This was a really fun question because there were some really great opening jams, like incredibly, like more than you realize, I think. But I have to go with Sigma Oasis from Alabama Night 2. Definitely my type of jam. Hypnotic groove, dancey, funky. Mike sounds amazing. Just a super groovy music. And I just love starting a show like this. I think this just sets such a tone. I love this set also. But I think this song is just a perfect opener. If they opened every show with Sigma Oasis and jammed it like this, I think I'd be really happy.
So like I said at the top, we did not know each other's answers, which is funny because we're going to probably have some that are similar, which is where we're starting here with the exact same choice here.
Because it's the best.
It's the best. I was thinking long and hard about this. I almost went with the Character Zero from the next night for two reasons. It was the first Character Zero opener since 2010. It went off into a really cool jam that then goes into Mike's song, which goes into a really cool jam. Like that tour, that show got off to such a cool start.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. But yeah, it ultimately comes down to 528 Sigma Oasis. Saturday night, I have such fond memories of this. It was kind of like that night we built a fire. We had a fire in our backyard and we were watching it on the screen. We made s'mores. My kid ate like 4 s'mores and like 3 additional marshmallows. And like he was covered in just like chocolate and goo everywhere. But that jam, they started with Sigma. They go into a jam. I had like 17 texts from friends who were like, oh my God, they're jamming Sigma Oasis again. And then I did a solid parenting move. I put my daughter down that night because I was like, you know, my wife deserves to watch a show opening jam just the same as I do, you know? And I was like, if I miss it, I'm going to listen back to it. So I'm, you know, trying to be a good husband. But I remember going inside, and my daughter is like the easiest person to put to sleep. You put her in her crib, you give her a kiss, you give her like a little rub on the belly, turn around, and she's passed out. It's insane. She's
Thank
like,
God
just
for children like that, right?
Oh my God, my son was not like that. But I put her down. I come back outside, and they're still jamming. And when I came outside and they were still jamming, I immediately texted you and was like, "This is a Megan jam if I've ever heard one." Like you said,
Yes.
Gordo's all over it, and it just holds up so well when you're listening to it. So yeah,
I've listened back to this a few times already. It's so good.
Matt Higgins, who guested on the pod during our Charleston shows, got to be Sigma. He's absolutely right, and we're absolutely right. Sigma Oasis, the show opening jam that hit the hardest. What other ones did we have? We had the Set Your Soul Free.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good one as well, wasn't it?
That was really good. Yeah, nice songs, like over 20 minutes. Yeah.
It was overall, in terms of the jamming, that was such a huge aspect of this overall tour. And the fact that they came out and opened 4 shows in a row in that sort of way was amazing. Let's move on to
Which
our
also makes
second.
it amazing that people were still complaining.
There's always going to be a complaint. There's always going to be one.
It's
Just the way it
true.
goes. So we're going to go on to our second category here. Describe spring 2022 in one word.
This is really hard. Just one. I have a phrase.
You can use a phrase.
I can use a phrase.
You can use a phrase.
Okay. It's not very poetic, I have to warn you.
That's okay.
But it combines, I was trying to think of a poetic way to say this, but I never landed on it. But I think it was an over-criticized, fun warm-up.
An over-criticized, fun warm-up. Dive deeper into that. That makes a lot of sense to me, but dive deeper into that.
Okay. I think that this band so often... Okay, I'm going to actually use a baseball metaphor. I'm going to try.
Look at what we've done. Look at what we've done.
I'm going to try. Okay, so this band so often hits home runs that people go, and if they don't see home run after home run after home run after home run, they sometimes don't even enjoy the runs batted in, the great slides into third base, the anything else good that happens in baseball. They just are mad that they aren't getting a home run, or they're mad when a player tries something incredible and it's not exactly what they wanted or how they wanted it. So that's what I mean about over-criticized. Fun, because listening back to these shows, the band was having an awesome time. You know, they were diving deep into their catalog. They were playing really well, having some incredible jamming moments. They were having fun, being silly. And I feel like it was an amazing warm-up for summer tour.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Definitely more than
first
one
and
word.
foremost, like you totally get baseball. Like you get it. You totally get it. Secondly, thank you so much for bringing in a baseball metaphor to describe fish. That just speaks my language. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, and I'm going to get into this with my word, which was relaxed. So I don't want to give this away yet because we're going to talk about this at the end of the episode. But I was listening to a show we're going to discuss next week on the show, and it's an important fish show. But I was like listening to it. It's a tour opener, and I was like, this is not a show that people would freak out about, you know, like at all. Like this is a show that people would,
like if they heard Now, you mean?
They'd scoff at, and they'd be like, what? 2 ballads in the first set? A bunch of new songs? Like, what are they, like, what's going on here? And it's like one of the biggest openers that they've ever played, you know, historically for a lot of reasons. And, you know, I was thinking about just like how much things have evolved as a result of this on-demand constantly show element that you can watch every show, that you can listen to every show 5 minutes after, all that sort of stuff. And so I think you're absolutely right. My word relax, like I think goes hand in hand with yours in the sense that like, I don't necessarily think the band was out there to like prove anything. I think the band was out there to like play 8 shows, and they at some point must have realized like we haven't repeated anything. Let's just see what else there is. But they didn't dig too deep from a bust out standpoint. What's really working for the band right now? It's jamming. It's being, you know, creative in the moment. So they dove down that road on a regular basis. And ultimately, like, I don't think the tour is going to like have a monumental impact on the overall band's history, and I don't think it needs to, and I don't think that was the point of it. And so I'm right there with you. Fun but overly criticized, relaxed. Sharing some of our listeners here. Joel Schuling says enveloping. Alan says continuum.
Good words. See,
great
you're poetic.
Words. We're going to bring on a very special person right now. I don't know if he's ready. He's been hanging out backstage for a little bit. He better be ready because I'm bringing him on right now. Mr. RJB.
He looks ready.
He looks ready. He sounds ready.
Hey, RJ.
Did you hear Megan's baseball metaphor about the fish?
Yeah, it was really great. Really perfect.
Thanks.
Perfect.
My God. RJ, we are on category number 2 here, but we're gonna ask you, what is your one word to describe spring 2022?
So I thought about this one for a while. The word that keeps coming to mind is elusive.
Go on.
Like I feel like it's like there are these really, I know I missed the beginning, but some of the opening jams of these shows were just amazing, and then some of the shows were like fine, and some of them were, really just amazing throughout, and then some of them seemed like slightly imbalanced, and I'm still trying to grasp what it's all about. So that's my current feeling.
I like it.
I would agree. There wasn't like a full cohesive idea that you could kind of gather out of all of it. The shows really varied so much.
No, and like if you think back to last summer and last fall, there was especially last fall, there was such a thematic element around like these new sounds they'd introduced, but also the fact that like any song could suddenly be played at any point in the show. And last fall, I felt really unhinged to listen to Fish shows in the best way possible, where it was just like, I don't know what to expect. Like Slave to the Traffic Light is the third song in the show. I guess, like I'm going to feel these feelings now. Sure. Why not? I didn't feel that on this tour as much, but I felt like the band was just going out every night and just playing in the mindset you would want to play in if you were a touring musician, which is why I chose Relaxed. I think Elusive is right. Fun, but overly criticized. We just got to give a shout out here to Alan, who says that Megan knocks it out of the park. I mean, the
Thanks,
baseball
Alan.
metaphor is just coming. Let's see how many more we can get in this.
Oh God, what did I do?
But RJ, we got to ask you, you said so many of these shows open up with big jams and then they kind of just happened. What was the opening jam that hit you the hardest?
I think the Sigma Oasis from 528. We
didn't plan any of this, but we're all there together. We're already there.
It's pretty so different. It has some good like directions that I think are slightly different than some of the other jams we heard this tour. It gets pretty dark, gets pretty funky, and it's just a pretty amazing opener.
It's the opener.
Yeah,
as far as I'm
concerned.
Did you guys both say that one?
We both said that.
I thought they were going to play another one bites the dust at the end of it. It's got some serious vibes in there at the end of that jam.
That hypnotic funk, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to our next category here. This is not a jam. This is not a bust out. This is not a big song. This is a segue. RJ, you are newest to the conversation here.
Oh,
so
man.
you are on deck, if you will. But now you're coming to the plate. Just going to keep this going. What was your favorite segue of the tour?
I think it was the light into Mountains in the Mist, just because I love Mountains in the Mist. It was really just a perfect placement at the end of that light, and the light got kind of weird, and if I was there and I was scared, I would have been immediately fine once they went into Mountains in the Mist. It was just a really well executed and great little cool down situation.
I would welcome that song at any place in any show. I love Mountains in the Mist so much.
Totally agree.
Bonus points for it not segueing into Passing Through.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
Megan, what was your choice?
So my choice was the tweezer into Plasma from Alabama Night 2. That tweezer just like has that super weird mechanical machine sounds, and then it emerges in Plasma, just like comes out of that weirdness, and was just the perfect song to come out of that weird end of that tweezer jam. Loved it.
I listened back to that the other day, and I don't think I realized in the moment like how much that fade into Plasma is just, it's so on point, thematically fits what that jam was. I think that's a really good call. Before I give my answer, we just have to shout out Joel. Set Your Soul Free jam into Set Your Soul Free, which we really appreciate. We really appreciate that. That was great content for the middle part of that tour. Matt Higgins, Ghosts in a Sense from 527. I have a feeling that set is going to be talked about again at some point. But my choice is June 1st, Prince Caspian into Egg in a Hole, into Piper, into Prince Caspian. I I'm an advocate for Prince Caspian. It is it's like the New York Mets of the Phish repertoire. It gets no respect. It deserves respect, and it's had moments of greatness and brilliance. Prince Caspian over the last 5 years has been one of the heaviest hitting songs over the last 7 years since Magnaball. It's one of the most heaviest hitting songs that Phish has in the repertoire. It comes out of that massive simple and then goes into Egg in a Hole, which is now like the new Death Don't Hurt Very Long. Goes into a Piper, which I took a video of my son freaking out because it's his middle name. And then that goes into a cool jam and then fades into Caspian again. You get the Caspian sandwich, incredibly rare Caspian sandwich. Absolutely loved it. But I don't think that anyone picked a wrong. That run of 529 to 6-1 had some good segues in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we are going to move on here to our next category, which I have forgotten to write on the board here. So give me 1 second here. Let's get some mid segment banter going.
Well, Austin says that the yam into the vocal jam back into more yam is definitely an awesome segue, and I 100% agree. And RJ and I were thrilled to end the vocal jam and pick up some instruments again. So
that's pretty
I fully
great.
support that. I think that's going to be the new yam.
I hope so.
I love that new approach to yam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you guys. All right. Not a ton of bust outs on this little spring tour, but there were some. What was the bust out that shocked you the most that the band played this tour? Megan, let's start with you.
Quadraphonic toppling.
Wow.
Which may answer another question later. But, it just created such a controversy. It was shocking. There was like all this discussion. Phish.net was changed. It was shocking. Whether or not people think it was a bust out or not, that was the shocking thing that happened.
It was really shocking when it happened because they teased it at MSG.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Trey to sing it and there to be the yodels in the middle of it, which is a part of the studio version that I admittedly forgot about. It immediately added controversy and fanfare to this tour, like from the start.
It was exciting.
It was very exciting.
That was crazy. The controversy that it started is just, what the hell are we doing?
Only Phish nerds would be involved in that kind of a controversy.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Do you guys think, like, it's funny, when Phish came back last summer, I remember there was this like general mood of like, I don't have anything to criticize. Just as long as they get on that stage and they play music, that is going to be the moment that I realized the pandemic is over, which it wasn't. But, this was people's feelings around this time a year ago. The pandemic's over. I can go back to normalcy and I can just like love being at a Phish show. And within 5 minutes of the Arkansas show opening, people were like, oh, they're too slow.
Yeah.
They don't sound like they're hooked up. What the hell is going on with this band? It was like they haven't played a show in 18 months. Like, just savor one night of Phish. Do you think that it's possible, or that it would be more fun if it is possible? I don't think it's possible, but I'm curious your guys' thoughts. For there not to be controversy around a Phish tour? Or do you think it's just in our nature to always criticize and have controversy about really important topics, like did they play this one song that they potentially played one other time?
I think it's always going to be there.
Yeah, me too.
There's always something. There's all this, you guys probably saw on the internet, there's all this drama about the Deer Creek pit.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, everybody's all up in arms about it, huh?
The guy who is accused of doing the stuff, he started his like explanation in a Facebook post by saying that the woman tried to grab his pendant, which I just thought was like so it's like so great. You really can't make this stuff up. You can't make this up. It's really epic. I think we're always gonna get it.
Well, I think we're all people that are mildly obsessed, and so anytime you get people that care deeply about something that is, somewhat silly at the end of it, but we all care very much. So, this is what happens.
I'm just going to put this out there as a PSA. If I ever begin if I ever get to the point where I have a 300 plus word apology to the larger Fish community, like just tell me to stop going. Like it's over at that point.
It's
All
time
right,
to walk
so
away.
Megan has a song that was potentially not played as her bust out that shocked her the most. RJ, what was your call for the bust out that shocked you the most?
I mean, it has to be the "You Enjoy Myself" back into "You Enjoy Myself" after the vocal jam. It was so unexpected and so rare that it's awesome. It's just great. And I hope they keep doing it. I don't think they will. I think that's a one-time deal. Personally,
But it happened at New Year's Eve too.
yeah. But was that even a real show? You know,
Nobody was there to see it.
No, but it was the
There were
last
just
time
those
they
like
played it.
lights in
So
the audience.
I
that-
guess
maybe I'm just hopeful. Maybe I'm just hoping
No,
that this
yeah,
is the new way.
I think that's fair. That to me was the. I mean, what is that? I guess it's not even a bust out. Does Slow Maze count as a bust out?
I mean, I think it's interesting what you're saying because it makes me think that if they ever do what we keep asking them to do constantly on this show, which is to properly jam out David Bowie in a dark and terrifying way for at least 22 minutes. Okay. We have some restrictions here that we need them to cover to make this happen. But if they do it, to me, it's probably, is it a bust out of a David Bowie jam?
I think so.
Good question. I don't know if we can.
Maybe we have to
make
get
that call.
the fish.net guys on again.
We got to get Charlie on again. I want to share some audience thoughts here. Matt and Joel, While My Guitar Gently Weeps opener. This was the first version since December 2019, second version since 2013. Jamie says, not a bust out, but that Character Zero opening in the slot of night 3 at the Wharf was great. Incredible call. Alan, fluffers versus complainers. I think just shouting out to our overall discourse. And yeah, we are here. We are in that camp of fluffers. That's all that we do. All we do here is fluff fish. That's all that we do. Matt Higgins, do you mean the Maze lyrics sung over Steam, RJ? That's a good hit, Matt. I like that.
I mean,
very
that's
much
fine.
has a Steam vibe.
Whatever you want to call it, it's fine with me. Yes.
Do we call it meme? My call, I think, is the only actual bust out song that was played, which is My Mind's Got a Mind of Its Own. 285 shows. Last time played, my personal favorite show, fall 2013. 10/25/13, Worcester Centrum. Last run that they ever played at the Worcester Centrum. Amazing venue. We'll be back to the controversy that Megan started here.
Can I just address Les's question?
Yeah,
the
please.
Folks complaining we're around in 1.0 or 2.0. I complained for a while. So I think in 98 or so, there was some point where I was definitely unhappy with some of the things Fish was doing. So I definitely complained. There are, in one of the Farmer's Almanacs, I have a review of a show that is not good, just so you guys know. That's an Easter egg for everyone. So
you haven't always been a fluffer, RJ. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I guess over time I got some perspective on shit, and now I just, I really enjoy being able to go see Fish still after Coventry, changed my perspective. But I think people have always complained. We talked in Undermine about the people for a louder mic thing. That was about complaining about how Mike couldn't hear Mike, and people always complain, and they always will. That's just part of the deal.
Oh yeah, people just didn't have the internet to do it in 1.0, but everybody used to bitch all the time. But yeah, it's just so easy to find now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about this in Undermine. This, the reason and the benefit of the complaining is that at a time when you couldn't access every single show with a click of a button, you had to know, what are the shows I need to hear? What are the shows I need to recommend to my friend so that he becomes my new tour buddy? I was a 2.0 fan, and I learned very quickly, if I'm going to talk about Fish, I have to have some sense of criticism, because if I was just being nice about all the music, nobody on Fantasy Tour wanted to talk to me, and I wanted to talk to some people. So I feel like this has been around for a long time. It's a conversation that we're going to constantly revisit here. Let's move on to another potentially controversial internal discussion.
Oh, thank goodness Jonathan's not on here. He'd probably get
Well, he's going to probably
again.
start commenting because he's.
I hope so.
What was your favorite encore of the tour? RJ.
Oh man, this is a hard one. It's got to be the slow maze. It was so interesting and different. And I don't care if they play maze fast or slow or different or over steam or whatever. It doesn't. I mean, it's just about having fun at this point. And I think that was the most fun thing. It wasn't. There were some jams in this encore that not in that encore, but in other encores that was pretty. That were pretty cool. But I think it's just the most unique and most interesting.
I loved
I
the
also
slow
thought it
maze.
worked. It wasn't like
It was so
you
cool.
know, it was sort of a gimmicky thing, but I think it actually worked.
I thought it worked, and it was this cool effect of like, I think Fish.net updated the set list at some point during the show to reflect the sound check, because I don't recall seeing it before or like when the
Mhm.
show started. And I remember I was like going back to look at what they had played, somewhere mid second set, and seeing the sound check and being like, slow maze, like that's got to be someone had to be hearing something incorrectly. And when they came out on stage and they were playing at a slower tempo, but you heard, Trey's muting of his strings, and you heard, Page's keyboard line, and then, Mike's bass that comes, like the way that song builds, but it building very slowly, was like, holy shit, this is such a creative way to approach a new song, or an old song, I should say.
I thought it was
Megan,
super
what do you
cool.
got?
I have the I Am Miami and Isabella because that was an awesome encore. Obviously, a direct rebuttal to, sorry, it's very loud here, a direct rebuttal to Jonathan saying that they probably shouldn't play encores if it's just going to be, what was it, Waste and Santos or something. So the next night they come out with the acoustic guitar and play I Am in Miami or I Am Miami. And is it I Am in Miami, right? That's the
Mhm.
song, not I Am Miami. And Isabella, awesome. That's the way you end a show.
I loved it. It was really great that it was such a shout out to Jonathan, who,
Yeah.
you ask him anything, and he's like, well, whatever they want to do. But then he was like, no, they should stop playing encores. Like verbatim. That's what Jonathan said. He can't defend himself. So I'm just going to say that.
Oh my gosh.
My pick for this is the 46 Days in a Tube. It reminded me a lot of the Carini from San Francisco, which is the best encore I'll probably ever see the band play.
You cried.
I cried a little bit. Around like 2017, 2018, I really got into listening to Humphreys McGee. And one thing I immediately loved about them, and Goose does this as well, is they respect the encore slot. The encore to those two bands is an opportunity to play a full jam. And Humphreys McGee plays like All in Time constantly in the encore. That's like Fish coming out for the encore and playing a 17-minute Down with Z's. Goose comes out and they play like a 15, 20-minute song all the time. And I was at a point where I was like, why is Fish just coming out and playing Rocky Top, Tweezer Reprise, Rocky Top, Character Zero? It was kind of to Jonathan's point of like, if they're going to do an encore, like do an encore, like really do an encore.
Do it.
And when they
Yeah.
came out and they play 46 Days, first time in an encore slot, jam it out, go into tube, really jam that out. It was just like, that is the extra 30 minutes of music that, damn it, we deserve.
Yeah. And you didn't think you were going to get. So good.
I think I was going to get.
No?
Any other thoughts on encores? There were some great encores from this.
I will tell you that last night Goose came out after they left playing the song Yeti, came back and for the encore played Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles, and then went back into Yeti. I think that was like 12 minutes. When I saw them a couple weeks ago, they played one of their new songs and left the whole thing going, and then left the stage and came back out and finished it. And I think Fish
That's
should
pretty
do that.
cool.
It's
That's
kind of
really
like
cool.
it's like the stuff they used to do, like at the end of in the late 90s, I guess, when they like the droning, they could just like leave those effects going, take a 1 minute break, come back, and then you have like a 30-minute jam at the end.
That's
Just
really
saying.
cool. Mm-hmm.
Goose doing that with Dripfield last week was it was a stunning musical move. And yeah, the Yeti, Tomorrow Never Knows Yeti was excellent. I would love to see that, because then you're basically like, you're giving an encore, but you're also, it's not really an encore. I don't know. There's this weird middle ground that you're in. It's pretty cool.
I'm not like a huge fan of encores, really, just because it's like the end, and I'm like, all right, now we have to go home and we have to start like thinking about. And usually with Fish, usually it's something that's just like, it's a 5-minute thing. I mean, when it's Tweezer reprise, it's always great, but I like First Tube as an encore just because it's fun
Yeah.
and high energy. But if it's like a, it's kind of like a basic run through,
Yeah.
it's fine. I just don't like the end of the show either, because it's like the
I
end
know,
of the
it's so
show.
sad. Yeah.
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 I mean, this is what the War on Drugs did when I saw them, is they're playing a song. Adam started talking to the crowd, and he goes, "We're not going to do that thing where we walk off stage and come back on stage and you pretend that we were never going to come back on stage. We're just going to play the 4 songs that we were going to play in the encore." And that's it right there. That's all you need.
I just love being able to like cheer for them.
Just one more time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like, I love being able to like cheer for them and feel that with the crowd and feel like so appreciative, watch them go off and then just be like, yeah, they're coming back on. And like, even whatever it is, I'm always like, okay. I mean, clearly I'd like it to be something like this, but I just
This is a
want
really
that one last
interesting
fight.
question here from Vince. And I have something of like a controversial take on this. My favorite second sets are the shorter, cohesive second sets from 97 and 98, where they like wouldn't cross 65 minutes. They'd play like 4 songs, and then they'd still come out and just play like Rocky Top, Tweezer reprise. Kind of okay with that.
So you'd rather have the set have more of like a full idea and a theme and have it be shorter?
The narrative arc means a lot to me, and I'd rather the narrative
Yeah.
arc than more music.
Yeah, I think I might agree with that.
Do you just want more music, RJ? Or what do you want?
I like what you're saying. I think
Mhm.
I think more playing, and like the encore break is cool, but at this point it's basically just like it's just built into the routine. There's no real reason
Yeah.
for it, because if they're going to keep playing, like, you might as well just keep playing,
Just
I
keep
mean, I don't
going.
like,
Yeah.
I don't need to hear Rocky Top, like,
No, I don't need to hear it either.
We're
I
really
don't.
ragging on Rocky
I
Top.
really
I
really
like Rocky
don't.
Top, but we're all really ragging on it.
It's fine, but I don't need to
actually,
hear it.
you know what? I don't know if we talked about, or if I mentioned this, or if I was just thinking, but when we were talking about 97 shows recently, or I was looking at all the 97 shows I saw, all the fall 97 shows that I saw, with the exception of one, had like a single song kind of lame encore. And at that point, like, it just didn't matter, because like those, like the Palace, the 12/6 97 show, I think the encore is Rocky Top. And like, why bother? Just leave. You already did enough, There's no reason to come out and play Rocky Top for 3 minutes. It's just unnecessary.
Less says it there. Opening the sword
100%.
door.
But
Nobody's
Megan,
such a
for
troll on us.
so you're clapping, which brings them back on stage. You like that? Would you trade that?
I would trade that for like a stronger second set, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I also feel like they're looking at the time, which changes, their ability to kind of, I don't know, get lost in jams. Who knows?
If Trey came out to the front of the stage and like got everybody to do one of these, and like the whole audience did that, and then they walked off and came back on, would you be into that?
No.
I would not.
That
It
would
would look
suck.
so dopey. It'd be
It's
so bad.
stupid. Now, if you got everybody to do like, I don't know, the Turtle in the Clouds dancer or something, maybe then that'd be
It's a
different.
lot of
but
choreography.
It is too much, probably.
We don't have that kind of rhythm in the Fish community.
Mm-mm.
All right, so they're retiring Rocky Top, so that's cool.
At least
And
in the
encores.
encore spot, that's for sure.
We're
They
going to
can play it in
continue.
Tennessee. Play it in Tennessee all you want.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
We're going to continue analyzing.
Don't bring that up the East Coast.
Going forward. Everybody says we're fluffers, but we're literally saying like, take 15 minutes of your show and just throw it in the trash. We don't need it.
No, if it's 15
Listen,
minutes,
for the
that's
record,
different.
yeah, I actually like encores. I'm just saying, if they're going to be Rocky Top,
If it's less than 7 minutes, then just don't bother. That's what I
okay,
said.
yeah, there's like a time minimum.
Yeah.
that we
I like
require.
what you guys do, Fish, but when you do it this way, I just don't care.
Yeah,
Basically what we're saying.
pretty much. What if they did a slow Rocky Top? That would fuck. I love that idea. Let's do it.
Good old Rocket Top. I like that actually. It's got a great
Yeah.
that hook there in the chorus always gets me. All right, moving on. If this were the tape trading era, speaking of vets and criticism and all that fun stuff, which set are you seeking out and then playing on? I don't know how to type, so I apologize. Playing on repeat in your car until the cassette snaps.
Brian, is it just you did that because you didn't have a cassette player in your car because you're so much younger than us? Or
I did have
you're
a
like,
cassette
what are
player in my
these
car.
fuck-
You
I'm
know,
just kidding.
I have a lot of tapes still, and 3 of them don't work because the ribbon snapped.
Overused. Love to know
Overused.
what
11,
3 they are.
17, 94, set 1. 625.
Ooh.
No, 626, 95, set 2. Anyway, what from this tour?
So this is kind of crazy. I have 2, but I'm just going to say one. And if we have time for honorable mentions, I'll give that. But this is a first set, which is kind of crazy. But I really liked set 1 of 528 in Alabama, the Sigma Oasis opener, and then Rocking Possum. It's perfectly played. Gorgeous Reba. There's even a Roger in this set, which, I don't like, but it's perfectly placed. A Bust Out. The Final Hurrah gets into this funky jam. And then I love this Free that closed the set. Love it.
That was a killer set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a
I like
really
that set
killer
a lot,
set.
which is cool because first sets aren't usually, where it's at. But this one was awesome.
I feel like they've learned how to. One of the great improvements of Fish since they came back last summer is their ability to come out and play a really cohesive first set that almost by the set break, you're like, not only do we not need the encore, but we don't even need the second set. Like, how do they top that? And sometimes they don't top it. And it's just great. I thought that first set from that night was better than the second set.
Yeah, me too.
What about you, RJ?
Wow.
What's your tape?
Wow. I have 3, so I don't know where to start.
You take it every option.
Yeah, I mean, there were only 8 shows. That's why I ended up with hundreds of tapes.
You can't choose.
You can't choose. I'm not gonna just choose. All right. I guess I would, for my first choice, I would go with 529 set 2, just because I'll always gravitate toward a tweezer, but the tweezer, like Landlady, and then tweezer into Plasma, Wolfman's. I mean, that's pretty cool as it is. But I love Miss You. It's one of my favorite Fish songs, and ending a set with Harry Hood and then getting a tweezer reprise in the encore. That's peak Fish listening in my opinion.
This was my second choice. Yeah, I love this set. I've listened to this set twice now already. It's really, really good.
It's a great set. Did you say your third choice?
I only said my first.
Oh, you said your first. Okay.
I said my first. My third would be 527 set 2. The Soul Planet is a really hasn't been chattered about enough. I think it's a really great jam. And also one of the reasons I said elusive earlier about the tour is like, if you look at these set 2s, they're all 5 or 6 song second sets. So on a tape, that's 2 or 3 songs per side, and you don't even see that on like my 97 J cards that much until we get deep into fall. So these are like, if you look at them on the internet and you're like, wow, these sets look incredible. And that was consistent throughout, I think. And they're like kind of effortlessly playing these 15-20 minute jams, like we talked about the other day. There's 16 jams in 8 shows that are more than 15 minutes, and there are a couple that were like 13 or 14. I mean, that's a lot of improv that I think doesn't seem to really be hard for them to do, which is just kind of amazing to me.
I'm listening to a lot of August 2012 for a future episode, and every one of those second sets are like 9 to 10 songs
Oh
at a
yeah.
minimum. It's a lot of like they get into a cool jam space and then they get out of it and they play like 6 songs in a row, and none of it really fits together. Some of it's fun, but it's just like, here's a song, cool, done. Here's a song. And to your point, like these sets, for whatever criticism people have pushed forward on this tour, which I'm open to that discussion always, the fact that they're able to get to this musical space where they jam and then the next song tends to be pretty thoughtful in terms of what it is that they're going with. You talked about the Mountains in the Mist earlier. You talked about Miss You here. There's a flow to these sets that, like, if a song starts up after a jam, you don't necessarily think to move on to the next song or to the next jam or move on to the next show. There's a lot of sets that you want to listen to as a complete package.
Yeah.
My choice here is 527 set 2. Slow
That
Llama.
was my other one.
Yeah,
your
it's
other one.
very good.
Slow Llama opens things up, all for the free webcasters out there. Soul Planet, Ghost, into Sense and Subtle Sounds, into Chalk Dust Torture, and then Loving Cup. Loving Cup not in an encore for the first time since the Baker's Dozen. Plus all the quadraphonic toppling insanity in the Soul Planet. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Fluid set. I put this on and I don't press next at all. It's over. And then I'm like, cool. Now I'm going to listen to another set like that. That was great.
Great set.
From a listener standpoint, Matt Higgins has got 527 set 2. Austin, Deer Creek, Night 2, set 2. That was a great set. That's the You Enjoy Myself, Wave of Hope.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
geez.
I listened to that on Re-Listen a bunch. That was awesome.
Jamie's got 529 set 2 as well. And Matt corrected me. You're right. It was not the last non-encore Loving Cup. It was the last set 2 closing encore. But yes,
Thank you,
Loving
Matt,
Cup opened
Thanks, Matt.
set 2.
Don't let
of
Brian
Phoenix
mislead the
last fall.
fans.
I am just full of misinformation, aren't I? All right, let's move on.
Very rarely, Brian. Very
rarely. Let's move on here to the next topic at hand. What excites you the most about Phish right now? RJ, I sprung this question on you on Monday, and I wanted to give you 2 days to mull it over. And I know it's the only thing you've been thinking about. In every one of our meetings, I keep seeing you like off in the distance looking and wondering, like, what does excite me about Phish right now? But I'm not going to ask you yet because I want to know what Megan has to say, because Megan,
jeez, that was
I
like
know
a
is very
real
excited
fake
about
out.
it. Do you want me? Are you ready? Or
No.
prepared? Do you want me to ask you?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Do it.
This is gonna sound like such a fluff. Okay, I'm gonna not start with the sentence I was gonna start with. That they're having fun and they're trying new things. You know, they're pushing the song catalog. They're trying new things. They look energized and having fun. I also have been thinking so much about these MSG shows. Those shows were fire. I mean, they were so much fun, such high energy, credible music. I was thinking about this a lot because I was listening to the episode that I couldn't be on the other day, and you guys were talking about the evolution of the sound and if it's okay if they're not evolving all the time. And I actually do think that it's okay if they're not evolving all the time. I think they're in a great spot right now. They're playing some unbelievable music, doing some great jamming, having a lot of fun. That excites me. That's all I need. I'm a simple girl.
It is an interesting proposition that, like, this band that was formed around humor and friendship and experimenting together in multitude of ways and playing ragtag festivals that just kind of came together on someone's random farm that your friends could come to and not have to worry about the cops being there or any curfew or anything like that. That spirit of like fun, as it really is, like that is permeated Phish, and is, you have to qualify that by saying that I'm not fluffy. Like that is the goal.
Exactly. You're right.
I sometimes get way into my head and like overanalyze a show when I'm there, and I have to just like remind myself like literally everyone around you is having like the most fun that they're going to have for weeks, and that's the point.
Yeah, it's just fun.
What about you, RJ? What excites you the most about Fish right now?
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but the fact that they're having so much fun is exciting to me. I'm sorry to admit that on a podcast that was started 9 years ago this week to celebrate the music of
Wow.
Fish. And it, who knew that we would be excited about Fish being happy? But in addition to that, the effortless jamming, I mean, it just doesn't, these openers of 15, 20 minutes, several of these shows and the jam lengths that we talked about, it's just, I don't think it's really like the twist that opened the tour I listened to today. I don't even think they like were thinking about like, let's make this a long jam. I think it just happened, and it seems like that I don't know if it's like, it's almost like Tab. Tab used to be, Tab would always just be like long jams no matter what. Now Tab is like shorter jams relative to before, but it just, I don't know. It feels effortless, and that's exciting because I think you get the sand from the last night of Deer Creek. Like, I think they build incrementally. So like if they can just jam for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, then getting to 30 or 40, which is when things really get interesting, is not that hard, right? When like every jam is 9 minutes long, it's harder to build up to something really special. So to me, it just is exciting because I think it means that there are going to be more unique jams in the next leg of the tour, partially because I also think the jam vehicle is like totally unimportant right now. So like as we've talked about, like anything could be played for any amount of time, and I think that's exciting. And I feel like the more they're playing these longer jams more effortlessly, the more that leads to unexpected, long, really special pieces of improv.
Effortless is the right word too. I think that that's something they've totally nailed.
Yeah, my answer here was the willingness to jam anything, anywhere, and I think it just ties in with what you guys are saying. Like, I don't totally. I mean, I think like if I go back to like the initial appeal for Fish for me, it was not jamming. It was this sense of like anything can happen at this concert, which I guess technically is jamming, but it was this combination of classic rock and baseball. The sense that you go to a show and anything can happen. You're going to see something new at any single show you go to, and there's a statistic element to it. There's an obsessive element to it. But then as I got into the band, it became about the jams, and it became about like when they get into a really unique jamming space, there's music that's being made in the moment that I've never heard in any other situation before. You have to go to like extended jazz to like get to like a deeper level of what's happening from a communication standpoint. And when that went away in early 3.0, was always this part of me that was like, I understand why it's not there right now, but I definitely wish it would come back. And when that started to reemerge in like 2011, especially around the Dick's 2012 run, but even then, like there were still like pushes and pulls of like, there would be shows where there weren't a lot of jams and the band would just like, they'd play a lot of songs. Since the Baker's Dozen, we've been at a point where like, you don't even have to think about that anymore. And now they're at a point where like they open shows with jams, they encore with jams, they play jams mid first set, they play jams again in the second set. And I know there's a lot of criticism around like, well, they're slower, they're sloppier now, but they jam. So people are just like, it's the piston in the ears type of remark about Fish. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what you were saying, Megan. Like I'm pretty basic in the sense that like I know what I like about Fish, and if they're going to do that a lot, I'm going to be really happy and really excited.
Yeah.
Just give me more jams. Don't play any songs, just jam.
I think we're all having fun.
When I first started listening to Fish, I didn't like the jams either because I was like terrified. I was like on substances, like scared to death that would happen. So like now I like them because I'm less exciting in my own life. But I feel like when I first listened to them, I wanted like things I could grab onto. I just wanted to party and have fun and listen to like this really youthful music because I was super into the Dead, and that felt soul fulfilling, but it wasn't as much fun in 93 and 94 and 95 for me. So even though that's mostly what I did is listen to the Grateful Dead, and I still do. But this felt exciting and young and fun.
First Fish Jam I ever heard was the Banger Tweezer on a live one. And I know what you mean when you say you were terrified, because I was like, what the hell is, how do you play a song for 30 minutes? I was so terrified. All right, we got 2 more questions here. This next one may elicit yelling, screaming, kicking from the podcast. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. Did Fish play quadraphonic toppling?
I feel like I should go last.
RJ.
No, I don't care at all.
Yes.
I really don't. I want to care, but I just don't.
I don't care if you care. I want to know your answer.
Yes.
Okay, Brian.
No.
I knew it.
I'm a rule follower, man. And like, I learn a lot from fish.net. And when fish.net says that they didn't play anything, I'm like, okay, you guys built a strong case.
They really did. I mean, they really did. And I understand their reasoning. I totally understand their reasoning, and I've processed it, and it makes a lot of sense to me. But I think that Trey thinks they played it. So I think they played it. I mean, not that I know what Trey thinks, but I do think that the band thinks that they may have played quadraphonic toppling and has a more flexible idea of what the song is than fish.net. So I think they played it, and I hope they play it again just to fuck with us.
I have a feeling we're going to hear that snippet at some point 1 or 2 more times before the
You mean the
year's over.
snippet or the song, Brian?
The lyrics sung over some type of music.
RJ, he's trying to just like correct me, but in like a respectful way.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to try to screw us over. They're going to try to mess with us in a really funny way by like being in a really dark jam and being like quadraphonic toppling.
I can't wait.
I'm gonna if I get to talk. I want to find out. I'm gonna try to find out.
Please, let's end this.
We have to find out. All right. Last question here. Probably the most important question of all. What was your favorite jam of the tour? And RJ, I'm going to start with you because I know you have to go be a responsible parent. I actually do too, just so you guys know, for the record.
Oh yeah, same here. I have to
I got to go be a responsible dad after this. My son's at chemistry camp right now, and I have to go pick him up.
Wow.
So cool.
That's
really adorable.
It's just so cute.
It's really
Do they wear lab coats?
They do.
Sorry. Oh God, that's cute.
Really
Okay.
Let's do a lightning round then, so we can all wrap up quickly. Do you want me to go first, Brian?
You go first.
I mean, it's got to be the sand from Night Through Deer Creek. I mean, it's just such a special and interesting piece of music. Listen to it a bunch of times. I'll keep going back to it. There's just far and away the best of the tour, I think. I do think that Soul Planet from 527 is underrated, though, but not nearly as interesting as the sand.
That's sand. Something else. Megan, what do you got?
I mean, I have a list of like 5, but my first one is definitely, this is weird because it's not super long, but The Free from 528. That set closer, it was awesome. Funky, rhythmic, interesting, cool, crazy synth stuff, rock star ending, nasty groove. I loved it.
So I texted you all when this was happening. I don't like this song. It's starting to grow on me just because of this. I listened to it again today before we went live. The A Wave of Hope jam.
So good. It's good.
It's everything we talk about. Fun, effortless. They're just jamming without any sort of like care in the world. That is this jam. You know, they play this You Enjoy Myself. It shocks everyone because of the placement. Everyone immediately is like, holy crap, they're opening the second set with this. First time since the 80s. What is happening? And then they go to the vocal jam and you're like, okay, it's not really going to be a crazy You Enjoy Myself. But then they go back into the jam. And that jam sounds like it could be like 45 minutes. Like that is a great, great jam. And then they go into Wave of Hope. And my immediate thought was like, oh, man, Why not just keep? And then that starts jamming, and that jam is just like Trey with his guitar, just like blasting the crowd with hose energy. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable
Yeah.
stuff. I don't think there was a wrong answer. I think everyone had the right answer. My thought initially was the tweezer from the wharf. I think the sand was the best jam, but A Wave of Hope is the jam I'm going to have just a ton
Nice.
of pleasure listening to over and over again. Austin says the Sahara-sized sand. It's a good way to describe that. That was a massive sand.
I do think both the jams you guys mentioned are awesome, and the tweezer's great too.
Mm-hmm.
Matt says, I love how they inverted the Wave of Hope Yem show opener at the Forum. Great pick. That's a good point. I remember that from being there, that they open with Wave of Hope and then they go into Yem and you're like, what the hell? So I think we did it. I think we recapped the tour. We don't have to talk about spring 2022 now until 2027 when we celebrate its 5-year anniversary. No, we'll probably talk about it later this summer. But this was a ton of fun. We will be back. Not this weekend. We're going to take some time off here. We're going on hiatus for 5 days. We'll be back on Monday. We got an awesome guest. Mr. Rob Mitchum is going to be joining us on Monday. And we're going to be talking about 6/13 and 6/14, 1997, the Summer European Tour openers. Tons of debuts, like 15 debuts across 2 shows. The initial hints of what Cowfunk was going to do for Phish. I'm really, really excited about this. So join us at 4:30 p.m. Eastern for a deep dive into the first 2 nights of summer 1997 in Europe. Before we go, who wants to tell us about Sunset Lake CBD, our sponsors?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Sunset Lake CBD is a majority employee-owned hemp farm located just outside of Burlington, Vermont. For years, Sunset Lake was a dairy farm producing milk for Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And in 2019, they diversified and started growing hemp for CBD. They are awesome because they embrace Vermont's tradition for land stewardship. They use sustainable, regenerative farming techniques. They build and protect healthy soils. They're 100% pesticide free, use minimal tillage, and implement cover crops and crop rotations. They also serve as a research farm for the University of Vermont's agronomists to study hemp and inform best industry practices. And Sunset Lake CBD goes so well with Couch Tour. I mean, if you're not able to go to shows, this is such a great way to spend the night. You're still got family around, you're doing dishes, you've got to like make snacks for kids sometimes. You got to do some stuff still. Sunset Lake's great for that. They also have some new sleep CBD gummies with melatonin that I've been really enjoying. So check them out today at sunsetlakecbd.com. Use the coupon code HFPod and you get 20% off all your products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer owned, Vermont grown.
We are also sponsored by Cash or Trade, the only secondary ticketing marketplace where fans buy, sell, and trade tickets at face value. Fans are able to DM each other before, during, and after a transaction. They can rate and review each other when a transaction is completed. There are no added fees to sell your tickets. All sales are fully protected by Cash or Trade's trader protection policy, which guarantees your money back should there be any issues. Users can avoid purchase fees with a gold membership subscription. Visit cashortrade.org to learn more, as well as to utilize their services. With that, Megan, enjoy the last 2 days of teaching that you have.
Thanks.
We cannot wait for you to be just this podcast for the next.
It's all I'm doing all summer. That's it.
All you're doing.
Just HFPod.
Cancel vacations. We're talking Phish.
Yep.
We're talking Phish tour. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
So awesome. Me too.
I will see you next Monday to talk. Well, I'll see you at some point next week to talk summer, both 97, as well as next Wednesday, just so everyone out there is listening. We'll be talking August 2012. So lots and lots on the horizon. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Meg, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Thanks, Brian. Bye, everyone.